Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch the interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me. Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. Israel and Hamas have agreed to a peace deal, the first phase of which is designed to ensure a ceasefire, the release of all Israeli hostages, dead or alive, the release of almost 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, the first stage of an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and a surge of humanitarian aid. But what happens thereafter is still open to question. Joining me now to give us a Palestinian perspective is the Palestine Authority's ambassador to India, Abdullah Mohammad Abushawesh. Ambassador Shawesh, let me start by asking you for a Palestinian perspective on the peace deal that both Israel and Hamas have agreed to. As the Palestine ambassador, how do you view this development?
Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Karan, for having me. It's a privilege to me and to my team, of course, to stand, to be interviewed by you, a key figure, a prominent figure when it came to media worldwide. It's something that really me and my team is very excited to it. Then just to start, and this is an immoral, this is an illegal, and this is of course, my responsibility as the ambassador of a state of Palestine, not the Palestinian Authority, to India. And there is a big difference because wording have a meaning. It's my duty to shed light on some of the wording that you already mentioned it in your fully respected, of course, introduction. But for a very simple reason, if I go through it and accepted it as it is, this means that I'm in full agreement with it, which is not the exact case. When you said peace between Israel and Hamas, no, it should not be articulated like this. Peace should be between Israel and the legitimate and sole representative of the Palestinian people, PLO, which signed the Oslo Accord 1993, and this should be the case, or the state of Palestine itself. Hamas is a political fraction, likewise Fatah, Popular Front, and all of these stuff. And they are not representing at large the Palestinian people. So when there is a peace deal should be with the state of Palestine, and there is a representative of the state of Palestine, Chairman, President Mahmoud Abbas. First. Second, ceasefire. See, when you talk about ceasefire, this means that there are two armies who is fighting in Gaza, which is absolutely not the case. There is one army ranked 15 worldwide when it came to the military power. A nuclear state having more than 220 nuclear weapons. Launching a war on Gaza and at large against the Palestinian people. This is the exact wording that should be used when it came. Unfortunately, since the mighty create right and the logic of power, which is guiding our word, we have no other option except to use, unfortunately, the word ceasefire, ambiguous and very untrue.
Third, I take the point you're making, Ambassador Abushawesh. They are perfectly correct for you to make. Let me, at this point, come to some of the specifics of this agreement.
May I say just one thing, because you said that hostages and then describe us as a prisoners, which is again not true, because also there are 11,000 Palestinian hostages in the Israeli jail, in the Israeli concentration camp and military camp. 5,000 of them is serving just administrative detention, which means that there is no arrested warrant, and there is no trail, nothing, just because the Israeli decided those 5,000 Palestinians should be denied the right to back to their homes. This is the exact issue. So that when we talk about hostages, we should be at the macro level.
Ambassador, I should make it
Palestinian
clear that
hostages,
I'm
and
using the language that is used internationally. It's been used by the BBC, it's been used by CNN, it's used by France 24. The deal is referred to as a peace deal. A ceasefire is the term that's used by the media. Hostages and prisoners is the term used by them. I mean no disrespect, but I am simply following the practice and tradition of the international media. Let's move on, however. Let's come to the specifics of what has been agreed. Hamas has taken, many people argue, a big risk. It's agreed to release all the hostages, alive or dead, and that means they are giving up the leverage they have over Israel. So if Israel doesn't fulfill its side of the bargain, what will Hamas do?
Thank you so much. But because, again, wording have a meaning, you said that you are follow what the international media. Let me just be very clear, crystal clear in this. And you mentioned some of these media. Without any exception, the vast majority of the Western media is completely, utterly biased biased against the Palestinian people. And this is historical issue. So that when they use the word hostages, they mean it. Then the word prisoners, they mean it, because they used to dehumanize the Palestinian
The
issue. They
Indian
used to.
media uses the
No, no,
word
I'm not talking
hostages
about.
as well.
No, I'm not talking about. I said that at large the Western media. Then, if there is something or someone is using this exact wording, this is a complete biased wording. They should come to us, and this is not the exact wording that should be used according to the international law, not to us
Okay.
as a
Let's
Palestinian.
not let's
By
not
the end of the
quarrel,
day, by the end of the
Ambassador, over the use of language. The Indian media uses the word hostages as well. Indian television does, Indian newspapers does. You've seen it yourself. Let's not quarrel over.
and we endorse this
Let's not
hostages, but
quarrel
the
over the
Palestinians should
language, because we won't make any progress if we quarrel over the language.
no,
Let's agree that
but
different
please,
language
this
is
is
used in different places. I take the
no,
point
no.
you're making, but let's proceed.
Please,
Has
because this is my responsibility when they use the hostages. I use the hostages for the Israeli, but the Palestinian should be described as a hostages also. Otherwise, it will be praised. But anyhow, back to your very important point, which is yes, when Hamas gonna give up, and it's must to give
Let
back
me let me
the
rephrase the
Israeli.
question. Let me rephrase the question. Has Hamas taken a big risk? It's agreed to release all the Israeli hostages, alive or dead, and that means that they are giving up the leverage they have over Israel. So if Israel doesn't fulfill its side of the bargain, what will Hamas do?
As if we believe that from the very first minutes of this war against the Palestinian people and on Gaza, as if we want to believe, likewise, the Israeli want us to believe that the hostages is the main leverage. Absolutely, it's not the truth. It's not true at all. Israel have the chance to release the hostages from the very first moment of the war, but they choose intentionally. The current fugitive from justice, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, choose to leave the hostages. And this is not this is the hostages family war. This is the Israeli
Let me
media war.
rephrase that then.
He intentionally, so it's not a
Let
relative
me let me
advantage.
let me rephrase the question so that the term hostage doesn't become a problem for you. Does Hamas have any guarantee, or does it even have an assurance that Israel won't resume the war once the Israelis are returned, once the hostages are returned? Is there any assurance Israel won't resume the war?
Yesterday, when they declared that the ceasefire, so to speak, I will go on with this. They killed approximately 40 Palestinians at the very early of the morning, just minutes after they declared the ceasefire itself. The only issue that guarantee that Israel, there is no guarantee Israel will cease the fire or will not renew the war after they took the hostages. And they can find a lot, unlimited excuse to renew the war for very simple reason. Israel from the mouth of the current fugitive from justice, the Israeli Prime Minister, on the podium of the United Nations General Assembly declared very clear the end goal of the war. Finish the job. This is the most dangerous word that was used since the beginning of the war. Finish the job is the secret code.
Absolutely.
Among the Israelis
Saying
to
to
expel
me,
the Palestinian people.
Ambassador,
Yes,
what you're saying to me is there is no guarantee, there is no assurance
absolutely.
that Israel won't
Absolutely.
resume
Yes.
war.
Yeah.
Hamas
We
will
got
have,
we
in
did
72 hours from now, Hamas will have released all the hostages, dead or alive. After that, if Israel resumes the war, what will Hamas do?
not only Hamas, what will the international did during the last 2 years and 4 days. It's not only Hamas. What did the international community did while they are watching the televised genocide? Nothing. Right? Hamas or anyone have nothing to do since the international community, the Western, many of the Western country, and of course many others, is complicit and supporting this war against the Palestinian people. Hamas, Palestinian Authority, PLO, me, you have nothing to do since the mighty create the right and the logic of the power is gathering
Let me
us.
ask
And
you this. Speaking to reporters when Mike Carney visited the White House, President Trump said the US will use its power to ensure everyone adheres to the peace deal. Yesterday, Khalil Al Hayya has said he's received guarantees from America that the war has ended. Do you take those as credible assurances that Israel won't resume the war once the hostages are released? Or do you believe these are just statements that don't carry weight? Which of the two?
we used to judge the people, and we should judge the people according to what did the great Nelson Mandela teach us. We should judge the people, or we used to judge the people based on their attitudes towards our struggle. There is an rhetoric right now, and there is at least uh, um, uh, uh, guarantee from America that the war will not be renewed. But this is not the exact case. We have history with Israel long time ago, since the step before even the establishment of the state of Israel. We have history. They use even to sign. They signed with us the Oslo Accord. Then now they are
Don't go
completely
back to
utterly
Oslo
denying it,
in
so that there
March
is no
this
guarantee.
year. Don't go back to Oslo in March this year. The peace deal that came into being in February and January was reneged upon by Israel after the additional release of hostages. How
I'm,
sure
I'm
are you Israel
no,
will do that
it's
again?
they already in February, last February, by the end of last February, Israel, the current prime fugitive from justice, Israeli prime minister, signed a deal to end to release the hostages with Hamas and many other issues. Then he decided to not to complete the deal. He broke the deal.
And the
So
same
there are
could happen again. The same thing could happen again. In fact, in the
absolutely,
statement that he made on television yesterday, the Israeli Prime Minister has kept open the possibility that if Hamas does not disarm, he will do it what he calls the hard way. That is clearly suggesting he's prepared to resume the war.
this is again the secret code. What's the meaning of this arm? Did Hamas have a chemical weapons? Did Hamas or the Palestinian have arsenals, ballistic weapons, or ballistic missiles? All of these stuff. This is the exact meaning of disarming when it came to the international law. If anyone believed that, and how did Hamas will be disarming the light weapons that they have it in Gaza? This is our request as a Palestinian Authority, the one who refused it, and he will continue to refuse it because he wants to find many justification to renew the war. Again, the current fugitive from justice
Let
is
me
the
put it
Israeli
like
Prime
this,
Minister.
Ambassador. Israel has made it very clear in the statement issued yesterday by Prime Minister Netanyahu that Hamas must disarm.
This is our position.
Hamas, on the other hand, has given the clear impression that they are reluctant and, if not refusing, to disarm until Israel completely vacates Gaza. And
No,
Israel has said they won't vacate Gaza until Hamas disarms. You have here an intractable problem.
Yes, of course, of course. I'm telling you, yes, there is no guarantee Israel will, even if Hamas disarm, they will find another excuse if they want to renew that war. And most probably he want to renew the war for many reasons. On top of that, to make sure that the Palestinian will be expelled, all the project, finish the job, to be expelled from Gaza Strip itself. But again, this is very important question because who is the one who's cementing Hamas and make sure that Hamas to be in a strong military, at least in Gaza, military
So then
means.
you're saying to me, this is a very unsatisfactory arrangement. Is
Ambiguous,
that
ambiguous
Hamas
wording.
disarm? Hamas is reluctant to disarm until Israel vacates the whole of Gaza. Israel says it won't vacate the whole of Gaza until Hamas demands. And therefore, we have an intractable problem. You're saying this
Yes,
is
of
an
course.
unsatisfactory arrangement.
Yeah, absolutely. You are right. This is the exact situation. There is no guarantee that after 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 days after the hostages being released, Israel will not going to renew the war.
In which case, what will Hamas do? Because they'll have, by that point,
Again,
lost the leverage they have. The hostages will have been returned.
dear Karan, as if the issue is Hamas. This war is not against Hamas. It is against the entire Palestinian people. And Hamas have nothing to do in this issue at all. Not Hamas. The United Nations have nothing to do. The International Criminal Court have nothing to do, of course, except the rhetoric or issuing an warrant, um, issuing the arrested warrant against the Benjamin Netanyahu. The International Criminal Court, international community itself had nothing to do because, again, it's the logic of power. It's the military power who is guiding the war. It's the mind that create right. Nothing, not
Let me
Hamas,
put
not
you,
Palestinian. No
Ambassador.
one can do anything. 2 years and 4 days, we are watching a televised genocide on Gaza, and no
No,
one
no, I
is
want to
step
go
forward.
beyond that. Let me put you a second problem with this peace deal. The first is Israel's insistence that Hamas must disarm and Hamas's refusal to do so until Israel vacates the whole of Gaza. And that's an intractable problem. We agree the problem is intractable. The second problem is that Hamas will have released all the hostages within 72 hours and its leverage over Israel will have ended. That will weaken Hamas's position. Let me put a third problem to you. The Israelis have refused to release Marwan Barghouti. Many Palestinians consider him your Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
How do you view the fact that Marwan Barghouti will continue to be an Israeli prisoner?
The question is the very first part of your question. We are enduring in a zero-sum game. Each one of them want to put a condition against the other, and this will trap the Palestinian again in the war and the war on Gaza itself. The other issue when it came to Marwan al-Barghouti, which I personally know him, and of course every Palestinian is knowing him. Yes, Marwan al-Barghouti, likewise, every Palestinian prisoners, we want him to be free, and this is our declared and loud position. But
But
Israel
Israel has
itself,
refused
still,
to free him. He is
yes,
not
not
amongst the 250
yes, yes,
prisoners
not
being
only
released.
yes, not only him and Saadat and other key figures for the Palestinian people, they refuse to release him. Israel want all the time to have excuse, to have something in its hand so that they can renew or they can put an obstacles in the peace process itself, which you said that this deal as an if it is an a peace the peace deal, which is utterly not true. But Israel will not stop putting the stakes in the wheel. Marwan al-Barghouti is another one that they after approximately 25 years of he served in the jail. It's time for him to be released. Not It's very important to us if we want to start a new peace
Let
process,
me
a new
let me
phase
put
of the peace.
let me put another weakness in this peace deal to you. Israel claims that it has begun an initial withdrawal from Gaza, but the truth is it still controls 53% of Gaza, and there is no fixed date when it will withdraw further. It's also pretty clear that ultimately, whenever ultimately happens, Israel will still retain control of a security perimeter which comprises 15% of Gaza. It looks as if at no point will Israel have completely withdrawn. Is that acceptable? Because that is certainly part of the deal that's established.
Oh, the issue here is I should light in two issues. First and foremost, Gaza was before the war since 1967, again according to the international law, till today is utterly completely under the Israeli occupation. They did not withdraw from Gaza. They redeployed their force in 2005. But by the end of the day, Gaza under the Israeli occupation, 50% or 40% of Gaza, which is utterly completely destroyed, is still, and more than that, is still up to date under the Israeli control inside Gaza. But one thing that no one know about it, this is not the border. This is not the size of Gaza according to disarmament agreement in 1948, which was signed between Egypt and Israel. Gaza was 550 plus square kilometer. Today, Gaza is 360 square kilometer, which means that even the places that had been attacked in October 7th is been, according to the international law, is still on Gaza.
But it's not coming back to Gaza. You may be correct in making that point, but it's not coming back to Gaza. And the point I mean further, Israel is not vacating the entire 360 square kilometers that is Gaza as it stands today.
Yes. Israel already after.
Is that acceptable to you? Is that acceptable to you?
No. I'm talking about now the sizes and the geography. Israel after 1949 squeeze approximately more than 200 kilometers of Gaza. They occupy it. So according to the international law, this is not the border of Gaza. And now Israel is saying that we will not withdraw from at least 50% of Gaza. It's not acceptable. It should not be acceptable. Not acceptable to us and should not be acceptable to anyone. This is not rationality. By the end of the day, Israel did not intend to end the war. By all means, did not intend to
Ambassador,
end the war.
let me put to you the biggest infirmity in this peace agreement. There is only very vague language about Palestinian self-determination, about a Palestinian state, and there is certainly no timeline for establishing it. The truth is, there is no guarantee that a Palestinian state will ever happen. How do you respond to that?
When it came to the Palestinian self-determination, in the United Nations General Assembly, the United Nations General Assembly used to adopt in a yearly pace a resolution call for the Palestinian people to right of Palestinian people to self-determination. United States of America and Israel is voting against it. So that by default, long time ago, Israel is against the self-determination of the Palestinian people, and it is written there in the United Nations General Assembly. Again, this is not a peace plan. This is a step forward to put an end to the ongoing genocide, to guarantee humanitarian aid, enough amount of humanitarian aid. No more children will be died. No more surgery will be conducted without anesthesia, enough and sufficient amount of painkiller for the people who are suffering.
But let me interrupt you. I want to make clear to the audience just how vague, just how uncertain, just how imprecise is the commitment to a Palestinian state. It says, while Gaza redevelopment advances, and when the Palestine Authority reform program is faithfully carried out, the conditions may, hear that word, sir, the conditions may finally be in place for a credible pathway to Palestinian self-determination and statehood. That is very imprecise, very vague, very uncertain.
And there is no future with this war. Not only this, there is zero future to the Palestinian statehood with this war. But it is not only this. If you back to the exact, very preamble paragraph on this plan, which say that Gaza will be de-radicalized zone, free terror zone. This means that Gaza right now, till the very last moment of issuing this plan, is a terrorist zone.
Let me stop you once again.
I'm talking because the wording
Given the serious weaknesses in these peace terms, given the infirmities in these peace terms, I want to go back to the question I started with. Has Hamas made a mistake agreeing to release the Israeli hostages? Because once it does, and in 72 hours it will have released them, it will have no further leverage. And yet it's achieved none of its principal purposes. Israel could resume the war whenever it wants. Israel is not vacating Gaza. Israel is not releasing Marwan Barghouti. Israel is not really committed to statehood. What is Hamas gained?
Could I shed light on your previous question, because you said that reform and this condition might reform. Reform, this is most ambiguous, one of the most ambiguous wording when they use against us the word reform, the corruption and all of this stuff. And they use it since 2000 during the Yasser Arafat term when he was there in his office. They used to tell us reform, 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 reform. But what's the meaning of reform? Till now, no one told us what's the exact meaning of the reform. It's open-ended. It's open-ended for them. It's open-ended, so that unless you comply and accomplish the reform that they wanted, which we did not yet have sufficient criteria. They did not even give any single measure to what did they mean by the reform itself.
Absolutely, Ambassador. You're proving my point. You're proving my point. Even one of the conditions laid down for Palestinian self-determined and statehood, i.e., Palestinian Authority reform, is something you can't agree over. That makes statehood even more unlikely to ever happen, which is why I ask, what has Hamas gained by agreeing to release the hostages?
Two things, because it's very important to differentiate between the reform and the Palestinian Authority and the PLO and Hamas itself. Hamas, from the very beginning, should not even be taken the hostages, because this gave the Israeli all the justification to destroy Gaza and gave the Israeli the ability to destroy and to completely raise Gaza to so to speak. But again, back to the reform, to the statehood, this is the most dangerous issue. Again, this is not a peace plan. This is not a peace plan.
You said something very important. You said Hamas should not have taken the hostages. Are you saying Hamas made a strategic mistake taking 251 Israeli hostages? That is, invited the wrath of Israel and the devastation of Gaza. Is that what you're saying?
Hamas miscalculated. One word, loud and clear, and this is our official position. We will not hide behind the wording. This should not even to be happened from the scratch. But again, this is very important. Now, to shed light again on this issue, Hamas miscalculated, but we cannot analyze what did Hamas did as an isolated part from the history. This is in a background. It was not happened in a vacuum. Likewise, Mr. Guterres, when he said
I
that.
I want to pursue with you the very important point you've made twice. Hamas miscalculated by taking the hostages. As a result of that miscalculation, Israel went to war against Gaza. Over 67,000 people have been killed. Nearly 170,000 have been injured. The Strip is completely devastated. And the BBC's Gaza correspondent, Rushdie Abba Alouf, says that as a result, Hamas's popularity in Gaza has dramatically declined. Support for Hamas in Gaza, he says, has dramatically declined.
The issue is here because when you talk about the war had been launched against the Palestinian people in November 2nd, 1917, when United Kingdom, British, issued the despicable, notorious Balfour Declaration. At that exact day, the war against the Palestinian people was launched. Period. Unless you believe that the occupation itself is not another phase of the war. The occupation is there. The expelling of the
But
Palestinian
I'm
people
not going into
because
history, Ambassador. I'm trying
no,
to
no,
point out to you
no,
that the Hamas action of taking hostages, which you called a miscalculation, has led to a war on Gaza, 67,000
no,
people being
Hamas.
killed.
No, I'm very clear. The war was a long time ago, even before the establishment of Hamas. The war is against the entire Palestinian people. What you gonna call a Nakba? What you gonna call the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people from their ancient homeland? Is it war or not war? Unless someone wants us to believe that the ethnic cleansing that conducting at the hands of the terror
In which case,
Jewish
in what sense
gangs in
was Hamas taking
1948 is a
hostages a
charity mission.
miscalculation? In what
No,
sense?
no, no, I should, no,
But in
please, I
what
should
sense
that,
then did Hamas miscalculate? You use the
no,
word miscalculate.
before I came to October 7th, because you want me to, again to start from October 7th, I should light in the history that came behind or that incubated, that came before
But
the.
you said Hamas miscalculated. In what sense did Hamas
I'm coming.
miscalculate?
I'm coming. Yes, yeah, I'm coming. But I should put it in its exact um, incubator. Because again, when you said the war, as if the war started in 2020, this is true. The war was there. Unless if someone wants us to believe that expelling the Palestinian people from their homeland, from their ancient homeland, is a charity mission.
But you're not answering my
In
question.
Nakba, it was not a
You're
charity
not
mission, it
answering my
was war.
question. In
In
what
19,
sense did Hamas miscalculate? You said that. I'm asking you to explain. What was the miscalculation?
should Hamas, our official position, Hamas should not be launched October 7th, period. This is our official position from the very first moment. We are not hiding behind. We are not hiding. We cannot accept that as if it is the exact day that the internet,
Ambassador, the
Earth
truth is,
planet was created.
Ambassador, the truth is, the single biggest section of your own people in the West Bank, according to a poll done in September, that's just a month ago, believe that Hamas attack on Israel on the 7th of October has harmed Palestinian national interests. I'm quoting a poll done on the West Bank in September by the Jerusalem Media and Communication Center in cooperation with the German organization Friedrich Ebert Stiftung. And that poll shows that the single largest section of the West Bank population, 35%, believe that the Hamas attack of October 7th, 2023 has harmed, repeat that, has harmed Palestinian national interests.
Absolutely. And this is our declared official position. Not only this, the rift or the topple, when Hamas toppled the Palestinian Authority from Gaza, it harmed the Palestinian national interest. We have this exact position 17 years ago. It's not a new position. The question is who had the interest and still have the interest of entrenching Hamas, of cementing Hamas. Israel. Who created Hamas? Israel. One word, loud and clear. Israel is the one who created and cemented and supporting Hamas. And the current prime minister is the exact person who used to facilitate the Qatarian cash money to Hamas in Gaza. He enforced us to pay them, to pay the Israeli.
Let
the
me ask you
electricity
this
bill.
then.
Wait a minute, because again,
But I don't want to get
please,
lost in
because
history.
everything have a root. When you talk about Hamas, Hamas was served the interest of Israel, served the interest of the current fanatic prime minister and the current government, and this is a declared position from them. This is not our position. So
Tell me today, given the unpopularity of Hamas, which Rushdie Abu Alouf has testified to, given the unpopularity of Hamas, given the condition of Gaza, given the number of people who are dead, the number of people who are injured, what is the future of Hamas after it releases the hostages in 72 hours? Israel, remember, will remain in occupation of Gaza. People like Marwan Barghouti will not have been released. There will be a very good possibility that Israel will resume the war to disarm forcibly Hamas. So what is the future of Hamas? What
No,
future does it look at?
and I shed light in two things. Because once you put it as Hamas, 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 this means that by default, some is believing that the responsibility of the what happened, the carnage, the genocide on Gaza is the responsibility of Hamas. Utterly, it's not the truth. It's the Israeli occupation. It's the Balfour Declaration. It's the expelling of the Palestinian people from their homeland. This is the root of the problem. Killing 67,000 Palestinians, all of them without no exception. And we challenge Israel just to point
But
its
what is
finger
the
for
future of
anyone
Hamas?
to say that he's an Hamas. No, no. Absolutely. All of them is declared, all of them. Their names is there. Their names, their age, their sex is there. Just Israel to tell us out of the 67,000 Palestinians, the innocent Palestinian whom deliberately killed
Ambassador, the
is
question
Hamas.
is a different question. Given the situation Hamas faces today, what is the future that lies ahead for Hamas?
No, I'm coming because I told you 2 points. The first point is who's responsible? Israel. One word, loud and clear. The Israeli occupation. United
And the
Kingdom by
second point,
issuing the
Ambassador,
Balfour
the second
Declaration
point.
and Nakba. But what is the future? I'm coming to the other part of your question. What is the future? Again, I'm representing the Palestinian National Authority, the PLO. President Abbas. Our official, I can talk about our official position. I'm not a political commentator. I can talk about our official position. Our official and declared position long time ago, which was refused by the Israeli themselves today and forever. Anyone want to be or want to have a political future should be part of the PLO, Palestinian
No, but you're
Liberation
not answering my
Organization.
question. What is the future of Hamas?
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm telling you what is the future of any political faction. It's not only Hamas or X or Y. Any political faction want to have a future in our political fabric, in our political arena, should abide or should be part of the PLO itself and should abide by all that obligation that the PLO signed. Top of that, of course,
All right.
Oslo and Oslo, this stuff. So anyone want to be or want to have a future, political future in Palestine should be part of this, should abide by the international law, should abide by the PLO obligation and legal
Okay.
obligation.
That's perfectly clear. Ambassador Abushawesh, I thank you for the time you've given me. I thank you for sharing your understanding and analysis of the peace agreement between Hamas and the Israelis.
May I say something again? It's not peace agreement. It's a comprehensive plan to end the conflict in war. Peace agreement should not be with Hamas. Peace agreement with the President Abbas, with the PLO, Palestinian Authority. Peace agreement is not based with what did, with all due respect, to President Trump mentioned in his 20-point. Peace agreement should be based on the United Nations Security Council agreed
I take your point,
the
Ambassador.
general,
I
no,
take
but
your
please,
point.
because again, it's not a peace agreement.
All right.
It's a
I
complete
take your
different.
point. I take your
Sure.
point. I thank you for the time you've given me. Take care.
Sure.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Hi, I'm Karan Thapar. Over the last few years, I hope you've been watching my program, The Interview on the Wire. During that period, I've interviewed doctors, politicians, businessmen, scientists, authors, and even the occasional Nobel laureate. For me, it's been exciting. I hope it's been enjoyable for you. But these, as you know, are tough times, and if this program is going to remain bold, independent, and sometimes even defiant, then I think we need your support. At the end of the day, it's a truism, but editorial independence is best defended by the viewers. So if you would like this program to remain the way it is, forthright, outspoken, and interesting, then would you consider supporting us? All you have to do is to click on the description at the bottom. But more than anything else, I hope you will continue to watch The Interview. Your viewership means an awful lot to me.